A very good evening to all of you. Welcome to the Professor Avadhesh Kumar Singh Memorial Lecture Series organized by the Alumni Association of the Department of English and Comparative Literary Studies, Saurashtra University, Rajkot. As we all know that this lecture series has been organized keeping a peculiar theme in focus, that is changing climate, ecology and literature. We all know that this lecture series has been organized in the memory of our beloved teacher, Professor A.K. Singh. Sir was the founder of many institutions that are flourishing today. He was the founder of head of the Department of English and CLS, Saurashtra University, Rajkot. And Sir had also worked as the Vice Chancellor of Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar Open University. Sir then moved to IGNOU, Delhi, in the School of Translation Studies. There is a long series of achievements in Sir's life and his legacy that we, the former students of this department, are trying to follow. It is only Sir's inspiration that this lecture series has been organized with this distinct topic. Sir was following the philosophy of Anu Badrang Krotoyantu Vishwata and taking an inspiration from his belief and practice of Swam Gachattam. The Alumni Association of this department has organized this lecture series. We are fortunate enough to have with us today Dr. Sarani Mondal. She is a PhD and Associate Professor of English in the Department of Humanities and Science at National Institute of Technology, Goa. Ma'am is the author of a book entitled Poetry and Poetics of Walt Whitman and Sri Aurobindo. Ma'am has also jointly edited two books with Professor Gautam Ghosal entitled Indian Responses to Shakespeare and New Ways in English Literature by James Cousin. Ma'am has also presented papers on comparative mysticism and applied linguistics at the different universities of US, South Asia, and India. Ma'am, we heartily welcome you, and it is really our pleasure and privilege to have you as a part of this wonderful lecture series with a very sincere memory of our beloved Professor A.K. Singh. We extend this particular platform to you, and we hope that today's lecture will benefit all the listeners all the way from Gujarat and outside Gujarat also. As we can see, there are many people from West Bengal and the side where ma'am belongs to. Ma'am, it's all to you. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, Imran. Okay, can I start?
Yes, please. Yeah.
Okay. So, good evening, one and all present over here. Before I start my presentation, I would like to thank Dr. Bhakti, Dr. Bhavdev for giving me this opportunity to share my views on ecology with you. And I would like to pay tribute to Prof Avadhesh Kumar Singh as well. Before I start my presentation, at the outset, I would like to clarify a few points. First of all, I do not have any disciplinary training in ecology. What happened way back in 2013, I had to relocate to Goa. And that was the beginning of all, because gradually I developed an attachment towards the environment. And as you all know that Goa is a very beautiful small state on the west coast, and it is also known for its rich flora and fauna. And the 30% of its land is covered with forest. Apart from that, 10% is used for reserve forest. And it is also famous for cashew plantation and spice gardens, and these two are revenue generating crops. And while talking about its fauna, I must mention leopards, snakes, porcupines, and peacocks. Many a time it happens that if you go out at night, you will come across one of them. Or maybe a small rabbit will be there in front of your wheels. I would like to share an anecdote. In fact, I will share quite a few anecdotes in the course of my presentation. So I want to show a slide first. Just give me a second. Yes. This is an image of a rock python. And while coming back from the institute, I saw this snake crossing the road. And what we do here, whenever we find any creature, we just stop the vehicle and we allow the creature to cross the road because we have to make the environment safe for them. And that is the first principle of deep ecology, that it talks about peaceful man and wildlife coexistence. And I can proudly claim that the villagers of Goa are quite sensitive towards the animals and the birds. Whenever there is a leopard or a king cobra in the vicinity, what do? They don't kill the animal, they don't kill the creature. They immediately inform the forest department, and the officials from the forest department come and rescue the animal, and then it is sent back to the forest. So that is the approach. But unfortunately, we see that anthropocentrism is dominating across. And many a time I come across newspaper clippings or maybe videos where we see the villagers are beating the animals mercilessly. They shoot a video and that video goes viral. So that should not be the approach. And we must focus on the interconnectedness between nature and human beings. And we are sharing the ecospace equally. So we have to remember that. But in reality, things are, very different. It's far away from the theory what we are going to preach or we are preaching from the 1970 onwards. Now, I would like to share another anecdote relating to deep ecology, relating to sustainable growth and development. That is, I have a morning ritual which I had already shared with Dr. Bhakti, and I want to repeat that. And that has a significance. That is, I collect PET bottles in the morning and I give those bottles to a person. And what he does, he recycles them. He is an engineer by profession, but he is passionate about environment. So that's why he left job and he established his startup. And what he does in his startup, that these PET bottles are shredded into small pieces and then they are made into small granules which are used for making PVC pipe. Now, what I want to focus here, that this is something which everyone can do. Everyone can put his or her effort to clean the neighborhood. Like what I'm doing in Goa, you can start this in your city also. Another thing that is also a revenue generating option, that the institute or the university can buy a second hand shredding machine and the students will collect the PET bottles and 2, 3 students will be engaged on weekends to shred those bottles, and the shredded pieces may be sent to the pipe making industry so that the institute will get revenue. So we can think of such startups, setting up startups, and a second-hand shredding machine costs only 10,000 rupees. And I'm lucky that I'm associated with that person who is into this startup and who is also equally passionate about environment. His name is Mr. Ravi Sharma. So, what he says, that nothing is called waste. Every waste has a value. And we need to focus on sustainable development, and we have to give something back to our mother nature. So every small can bring in a change. And in this context, I must say theorizing is not enough. We must combine theory with practice. That's what Thoreau did. Emerson was a preacher, but Thoreau lived out his principles. And Thoreau was an activist, Thoreau was a dissenter. And also, Mira Risher, Mira Alfasa from Pondicherry, who is also known as the mother, she also says that one drop of practice is better than ocean of theories. So why can't we combine theory and practice? I mean, why to theorize, why to talk about ecology on a seminar or on a coffee table? I mean, practice is a necessity, and we need to think, we need to make this environment sustainable. Like what sustainable development requires effective governance, which aims at protecting the environment and natural resources on which the present development depend. The connection between the environment and the development provide a strong base. So we have to remember that we have to make our earth habitable for our future generation. And there are, a good number of activists who are also working in this field, like Bandana Shiva, then Sunita Naren. She has talked about rainwater harvesting. Then Sundarlal Bahuguna was there, Chipko movement, and then Medha Patkar, Manika Gandhi. But we need more such hands, and we need to start from our neighborhood, from our home, and we have to instill this among the school-going children, among the adolescents, because I mean, it's late. It is getting late before we start. So now I will move on to my presentation, which is divided into 3 segments. And the first segment, I'll talk about the theories, the background of eco-criticism. And the second part focuses on Thoreau and Ruskin Bond and their concern towards nature and their message to humanity. And then the third part of my presentation is, it is entitled Post-COVID Environmentalism. For that, I would appreciate your comments in the chat box, or maybe you can share your comments with the moderator, Dr. Bhakti, and then we can have a discussion. That is, like, post-COVID trend is quite interesting. The students of literature know that way back in the 1860s, there was a trend that there was a mass exodus from the country to the city, and all were looking for jobs in the factories, in the industries. That was the scene during industrial revolution. But in 2020, we see the reversal of this trend. So many are coming back to Goa, and they want to live in close proximity. So we have a reversal of trend. So I will show you a newspaper clipping, and I will share 2 case studies where celebrities like Pooja Vedi, Malini Ramani, and then Gauri Khan, what are they saying relating to this notion, return to nature? So let us see, we can now think of a greener earth, we can think of a sustainable development. So for that, I want to have the session interactive towards the close of my presentation. Now I'll go back to my slide. Just give me a minute. Can you see the slides properly?
Yes, we can.
It is full screen?
Yes, it is full screen, ma'am.
Thank you. So these are the objectives of my presentation, as I already mentioned, that it is into 3 segments. Now let me talk about the background of ecology, eco-criticism, or ecological humanism. Although the importance of nature in human life was known to the ancients and later to the Romantics as a key force in human life, the study of the environment, or ecology, had never taken shape before the early 1960s. Back in 1962, the concept of environmentalism had emerged with the publication of Bill Carson's book, The Silent Spring, which was also a pioneering book on ecofeminism. But a systematic approach towards the environmental studies gradually began to take shape since the early 1970s, though not quite distinct as a separate movement on ecology. Joseph Maker's The Comedy of Survival, study in literary ecology, which was published in 1972, has been credited as the founding work in the field of literary ecology, as a study of relationship between the literary arts and scientific ecology. Later in the decade, William Rocket introduced the term ecocriticism in his essay entitled Literature and Ecology, an Experiment in Ecocriticism. A renewed interest in the field came in 1996 when the co-founder of ASLE, Association for the Study of Literature and Environment, Cheryl Glotfelty, adopted the term and redefined it in her jointly edited book From, and claimed ecocriticism as a distinct field of study of the relationship between literature and the physical environment. Here, I would like to mention that I'm the coordinator of Goa chapter of Ecosophical Foundation for the Study of Literature and Environment, which is a sister concern of ASLE. So in each state, you can take up this responsibility, and you can also start this EFSLE club, which is quite useful. After the initial indifference to the field, it is now recognized as a literary theory across the world. It includes green cultural studies, ecological humanism, ecosophy, ecofeminism, ecopoetics, and so on. It addresses the ethical and aesthetic dilemmas posed by the global ecological crisis, which force literary scholars to recognize the critical role literature and criticism play in understanding man's position in the ecosphere. By the 21st century, which is also known as an era of ICT, we find that the technologies and conveniences of modern life have created a gap between the man and his environment. We are accustomed to seeing only the finished products on the shelves of the departmental stores, furniture stores, and so on. Nobody bothers about the origin of these products. We hardly realize that the trees are being cut down to make our furniture. We exploit every bit of it to meet our necessities. The book of Genesis says, "And God blessed them, and God said unto them, Be fruitful and multiply, and replenish the earth, and subdue it, and have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and every living thing that moveth upon the earth." This refers to the doctrine of anthropocentrism, which argues that human beings are superior to nature and other non-human entities like animals, plants, and minerals, which may be exploited for the benefit of humanity. However, the contemporary environmentalists find this Christian theology quite problematic, and according to them, it is a kind of orthodox Christian arrogance towards nature. However, the anthropogenic pollution is an ongoing phenomenon. The rapid urbanization has encroached the habitat of different species. The 4G technology is a threat to the population of the birds as they cannot bear with the radiation of the cell phone towers. Human greed is assuming apocalyptic proportions, surpassing all such philanthropic efforts, culminating into an imbalance in our ecosystem. The consequences of human interferences, frequent floods, pandemics, extinction of the overhunted species, and other related man-made disasters. Again, I would like to share another anecdote that last year in 2019, I had introduced smokeless, noiseless Diwali in Goa, that is Green Diwali. What prompted me to do this? What happened while I was going out for morning walk every day, I found carcass of birds. Then I realized why I do see carcasses of birds. And then I realized that it's just because of the sound of crackers. So that's why they died. Then I felt the necessity of changing it. Why to have Diwali with smoke, and why to create anthropogenic pollution? So what I did, I went to all the government offices of Goa. Then I started writing letters to journalists. Of course, At the initial stage, laughed at me, they mocked at me, and they said that that Bengali professor is a mad woman. But I don't think I am mad. I'm sane. I'm a sane creature and I have enough sanity. The others are insane, I must say. So to counter this approach towards the environment, the concept of deep ecology emerged. A few years before eco-criticism in 1973, which was an environmental movement that regarded human life just as one of many equal components of the global ecosystem, it propagated the inherent worth of living beings. According to Arnenes, a Norwegian philosopher, the fundamental principle of ecological conscience is that the environment as a whole should be respected and regarded as having equal value. His notion of deep ecology emphasizes the basic interconnectedness of all life forms and natural features for a symbiotic and holistic worldview rather than an anthropocentric one. In short, we can say that ecological humanism is an affirmation that human beings are capable of transforming their societies to enhance the flourishing of human both human life and nature. So thus the need of the hour is to look into the crisis and discover the ways with which the balance can be restored. Now, in this slide, you see the pioneering figures who have worked hard for propagating the doctrines of humanistic ecology. So among four of them, I will focus on Lewis Mumford and his garden city concept, which is extremely popular, which is getting popular. I don't say extremely popular, which is now getting momentum in the urban planning context. Now, let us see this, that what he believes that the city is above all else a theater of social action. He describes the need for planning to effectively account for a city's relationship to the national environment and to the spiritual values of the communities within it. He championed Ebenezer Howard's garden city ideal in his work on polynucleated cities. So what we mean by polynucleated cities, which means that self-contained settlements surrounded by green belt. So that was a new thing, and that Ebenezer wanted to implement in the urban planning in UK. And later on, other countries started adopting this, and now this Lewis Mumford's garden city concept has become very popular, and this is the definition of garden city. The garden city movement is a method of urban planning in which self-contained communities are surrounded by green belts containing proportionate areas of residence, industry, and agriculture. The idea was initiated in 1898 by Ebenezer Howard in the United Kingdom and aims to capture the primary benefits of a countryside environment and a city environment while avoiding the disadvantages presented by both. Now here I would like to show you a diagram of garden city. Is it clear? Or I can explain also the diagram. Hello?
It's clear. It's clear.
It's clear. Okay. So what you see there, in the center, there is this central park, and which is surrounded by grand avenues, houses, and gardens. So the garden city concept says that human settlement will be surrounded by a green belt. So human settlement and the green belt will be placed alternately. So that is the concept of garden city. Now, this is a diagram. In some planners, they do not take this kind of shape. They take a tree shape. So it is depending on their choices. Now, in Bangalore, I have seen that the concept of garden city has been implemented because in the heart of the city, there is Lal Bagh. So Lal Bagh is the central park or the nucleus of the city. And in every locality, what we see a garden and a park or with a water body. So that is the main principle of garden city. And Khushwant Singh, in his novel entitled Delhi, there he mentions when the Britishers were constructing the New Delhi part of the city, they implemented this principle of garden city. So the old Delhi habitation is haphazard. There is no concept of garden. It was very old, but the New Delhi has followed this principle. Other than New Delhi and Bangalore, we get to see this principle in other planned cities like Chandigarh, Durgapur. But in Goa, it's not there. It's all very haphazard, and we don't have that concept of park or garden. But in South Korea, it is evident, in Germany, because what happens, so it is like a mutual coexistence. It again reflects the principle of deep ecology. And another thing, when the human settlement is surrounded by green belt, it will attract the birds, it will attract the creatures like squirrels will be there, insects will be there, and there will be butterflies. So again, the balance will be restored. So it is a need of the hour. If our town planners think of it, then okay, this earth will be saved. Now I will go to the second part of my presentation, ecological humanism in Thoreau and Bond. The humanistic approach towards nature calls for inclusiveness. H.D. Thoreau and Ruskin Bond help us understand this by linking the human and non-human worlds with a broader feeling of the concept of wildness. Owen Thomas, in his preface to Walden and Civil Disobedience, says, Walden is the artistic record of a man who confronted the natural world on its own terms. Henry David Thoreau deliberately left the society to live alone in the woods by the shore of the Walden Pond in Concord, Massachusetts. His decision to dissociate himself from the civilized world was a protest against the government. He was an activist and dissenter. Walden was published in 1854, and it is often considered to be the account of, within quote, dropping out of modern, as Peter Berry puts it in his book, Beginning Theory, An Introduction to Literature and Cultural Theory from 2009. Thoreau lived between 1817 and 1862, and this book is the product of his 2-year stay in a log cabin by Walden Pond outside Concord, Massachusetts. By this return to nature, Thoreau hoped to renew the self by a simple way of life, philosophical reflections, and contemplations of the essential things in life. Walden is the result of these contemplations, and it is seen as one of the fundamental works of American eco-centered writing. Lawrence Buell calls him the patron saint of American environment. Unlike Thoreau, Ruskin Bond was not an activist. He turns to nature to cope with his inner void after his father's untimely demise. Always a lonely boy, he stayed with his mother, stepfather, half-brothers and sisters. But the environment had never been fully supportive of the teenager. Any sensitive reader can feel the emptiness in his semi-autobiographical novellas and stories. For Bond, writing is more like a cathartic experience. Something of his self is always felt in each of his stories. Estrangement from family at an early age makes him sensitive towards nature as it heals his bruised psyche. Thoreau is not a solitary singer like Bond. Despite their apparent ideological differences, they possess a strong ecological conscience. Nature is their psychological resort, obliquely a prescription for humanity. Despite being a transcendentalist thinker, Thoreau does not philosophize or preach directly like others in the group. The essays of Walden read like a personal diary depicting his solitary experiences in the woods, but the experiences mean much to posterity. They are the principles of true existence in proximity to nature. He is perhaps the only transcendentalist thinker who lives out his beliefs and shows the world how a theory can be applied in life. Ruskin Bond also sets an example for us by embracing a simple life in Lander. Application is more important than discussing the theory and its pros and cons over a cup of coffee in a comfortable drawing room. Both of them spent time in the real woods with real trees, birds, insects, animals, and water bodies, which are so badly needed by humanity today in this polluted and plundered planet. Let us listen to their words. So you can see a quote which is taken from Walden. I'm not going to read the quote. The last is extremely important as he terms himself as a sojourner in the civilized world. Being dissatisfied with the ways of the civilized world, he turns to nature, meaning obviously that nature has taught him the essence of living. Critics may compare his stance with Wordsworth and Rousseau. Nature is a teacher for both of them. Just like them, Thoreau and Bond see nature as the only principle for their existence. It is the ultimate refuge for them to sort out every problem of existence, a lifelong commitment. For Ruskin Bond, his father was a key figure in shaping his ecological conscience. My father's trees in Dehra, he talks about his excursion to nature with his father. Most of the fruit trees round the house were planted by father, but he was content with planting trees in the garden. On rainy days, we would walk beyond the riverbed, armed with cuttings and saplings, and then we would amble through the jungle, planting flowering shrubs between the sal and sesame trees. So in doing so, he makes us aware of our responsibility towards nature. Thoreau at one place says, the axe was always destroying his forest. They cannot cut down the clouds. We feel a sense of regret. There is no preaching or teaching. While Bond writes, if people keep cutting trees instead of planting them, there will soon be no forest left at all. The world will be just one vast desert. However, Ruskin Bond comes later in the scene. Now, there is another quote from Bond. It is taken from his novella, Dust on the Mountain. The dust hid the next mountain from view. When they did see the mountain, they found that the top of it was missing, blasted away by dynamite. The skeletons of a few trees remained on the lower slopes. Almost everything else had gone. Grass, flowers, shrubs, birds, butterflies, grasshoppers, ladybugs. He is also worried about the rapid extinction of Himalayan flora and fauna. Both Thoreau and Bond urge humanity to save this planet from the impending doom. Thoreau teaches us the lesson of simplicity. Bond asks us to be sensitive and compassionate. In Cherry Tree, he shows us how the ecological conscience can be instilled in small. Though he has written a large number of children's stories, but each story has a message of environmental conservation for the elderly. He puts particular stress on the interconnectedness between humanity and nature. While Thoreau, in What I Lived For, teaches us the lesson of simplicity. We learn to be frugal if we are in nature, because we are away from the adverse influence of consumerism. And what he writes, superfluous wealth can buy superfluities only. At another place, Thoreau asks the readers if they wish to be a reader or a seer, by which he means to say that one has to be a seer of life than to be a mere reader of books. The theory is not all. Nature offers practical knowledge for our livelihood. The essay entitled Solitude highlights the principles of essential living. Yet, I experience sometimes that the most sweet and tender, the most innocent and encouraging society may be found in any natural object, or even for the poor misanthrope and most melancholy man. there can be no very black melancholy to him who lives in the midst of nature. And it is true that nature heals. The last sentence is significant as it reiterates the same message that being with nature helps us return to our sanity and teaches us how to live more with less, confirming the great words of Emerson on him in his obituary. In the obituary, Emerson wrote that Thoreau chose to be rich by making his wants few. So in the end, I would like to say that that's my last part of the presentation, that in the end, I would like to say that the post-COVID trend will be a return to country or nature, the reversal of country to the city trend. And this reverse trend gives us a hope that long lost ecological bonding will be renewed and the future generation will reside in a much greener ecospace. Yeah. Now, I just want to have a discussion on this. So what I have been witnessing in the last 2 weeks, that most of the celebrities from Bombay, from Maharashtra mainly, not only celebrities, also the businessmen, entrepreneurs, they're coming back to Goa. And what they are saying, that they want to embrace the simplistic way of living. And they sold off their properties, and Pooja Bedi is one of them. Then Malini Ramani, the fashion designer, who has sold off her store and she wants to start again. And she wants to embrace a humble life in close proximity to nature. And here I must say that Goa is a place, even if you have a lot of money, you don't have opportunities to spend the money. And the media has portrayed Goa in a very negative light, that Goa is meant for liquor and beaches, but that's not all. That's just one part of Goa, very small part. Only two beaches are there concentrating on this in the northern part, but the rest of the Goa is different. I mean, Goans are very simple, very humble, and they're very polite, and they do not really appreciate this culture of drinking and merrymaking all the time, but that's a strategy, that's a political strategy of generating revenue. So that's government's policy, but the natives, the Goans, do not appreciate that. But we cannot do that because money is also a necessity. So that's why that's a hub. That's a very small space. But media, media always flares up a small thing. So, but the post-COVID trend is an interesting trend. So we think that, we are expecting that that Thoreau and Bond, who wanted to liberate our human consciousness, which has a constant tendency to go down to gross materialism, living the world of finer sense of life, that which makes life more meaningful and safe in a suicidal world. So I want to have your take on it. What are you experiencing in your state? We can have some discussion. What is your take on post-COVID environmentalism? Are you seeing this reversal of trend? Am I audible? Because I don't see any comment or anything. Dr. Bhakti?
Yes, ma'am, you are audible.
Yeah. So can we have just discussion on post-COVID environmentalism? Because that's my concern now. Because, I don't know the situation of other states, but here we see the reversal of the trend and all are coming to Goa. Now, there can be a question that they may destroy the nature again. So they may encroach the forest area, they can buy land, but the government is posing a restriction that they will have to stay in a 2 BHK or 3 BHK flat. They cannot buy property or they cannot rent a huge property. So that imposition is there on the government's part. Anything else? Acha, more people are going to. Can I have this again? I can't see all the comments together. I see the comments one by one. Uh,
So I think what they are saying is that someone said that people are returning to rivers and water bodies basically. So maybe it will take them back to the ethnic ways of, I mean, in sync with nature kind of a lifestyle.
and what we witness that, see, we have these concepts of sacred groves and sacred tank in the temple. So sacred grove is also a strategic way of conservation, because we have example in Vrindavan, that Nidhuban, and there are other examples of sacred groves. So that is another way of conservation. It was there in the name of religion. We tried to preserve nature, and in the sacred tank also they don't pollute the water. So what happens if we have this earth connect? If we can restore the balance, then air will be purified, so we can have a proper balance and we can have a hygienic environment. We can live a disease free life. So, I mean, there are research papers on the significance of sacred groves, which is a very popular concept in India. So, Bhakti, hello.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, so that's all about my presentation. I wanted to make it brief and I just wanted to have a discussion, but I think there is not much. I mean, are I want to know if the audience are really concerned about environment or not. If not, then it is the time, it is high time we should do something, because every single effort, every small effort will bring in a change, and at the same time, uh, we have to join hands to do something. We have to join hands to make our world plastic free. We have to make it greener. We have to curb the anthropogenic pollution. So we can do it, I guess. So the way I have been doing this for the state of Goa, like Green Diwali, then collection of PET bottles, and then sending it to the shredding center. So that's all about my presentation.
Yes.
Yes,
Hello, ma'am.
I saw a very interesting comment here. Yeah. And then we have a lot of case studies, like there is a person who is known as Jungle Man. His name is Jadav Paing. What he did, he turned the Brahmaputra Valley into a forest that was a desert. So he planted some thousands of trees. So it is one man's effort. Jadav Paing, you can go through his case study. And I also would like to ask you that if you can introduce subjects like eco-ethics or environmentalism as an elective course in the university, in the colleges. Yes.
Yes, ma'am. We are giving the elective to the students, and in that we are studying them this eco-criticism and the issues related to ecology.
And what about the practice? Theory part is fine.
Yes, yeah, but regarding the assignments and the seminars, we are giving them the practical works to do.
Okay. So that
So
is fine.
first of all, we teach them the theory, and then we give them the practical works
Yes.
in that field.
So you can think of establishing startups or some activities
Yes.
which will focus on sustainable development. Or you can, in the surrounding of your university, you can think of establishing a green belt. So every department will be surrounded by a green belt. You can start your tree planting session once a week, maybe on Saturday. That can be done, and that will be a fun activity also. And once you make your campus green, that will attract a lot of birds, and there will be flowers, fruits. So it's going to be, I mean, our dream will be fulfilled.
Uh, that's true. Actually, ma'am,
Acha,
talking
there
about
is a question. Huh.
Saurashtra University, we have English department when it was established some time back, when we were students, rather long time back. We had created a green belt. So today, the whole I would be posting you pictures, and you would see
Okay.
that in such a barren, rocky land, there is a nice green patch. And as you said, there is lot of eco diversity that has been nesting and living near and under over on the trees. So as you said,
Yes.
we need to nurture this tendency of having plantation drives and nurturing the plants on campus on and off in a repetitive manner.
Yes, in the
There are
repetitive manner. Yes, yes, yes.
there are two three questions.
Yes, I
One
saw
is,
one question. Acha, you tell me. Huh.
no, if you want to take that up, please take that, please.
Acha, I mean, no, Bhakti, you just can. I see one question on, ma'am, please shed some light on ecofeminism. Do people, when they idealize nature as mother, then they do less destruction? Yes, that is a good point you pointed out. And I mean, how many of us worship nature? How many of us call mother nature? That is a question. So that is why at one point in my presentation, I said that we have to instill this value among the school going children, among the adolescents. We have to make them utter, let us call mother nature. Then only we will stop the destruction. And Tagore can be introduced in the syllabus as well, because Tagore has written a lot about it, ecofeminism. And yes, I mean, are you satisfied with the answer?
Yes, and I think Ghoshal sir has also aptly mentioned that in India, the practice of
Where,
ecofeminism is more about more like matricide, because people worship Mother Nature as mother, and then we are almost killing her every day. So that was an interesting take on it. The
uh,
one question that I was about to discuss with you is, there is a
yes.
question which says, "What is the future of eco literature in Indian writing in English?"
Uh, I don't see right now. I mean, it's a new discipline, and the systematic approach has started in the recent past. Initially, from the 1970s with Sundarlal Bahuguna's Chipko movement, and after that, gradually, it started creeping into literature, and people started writing on nature. But here, I want to say, when we read Ruskin Bond, there is a tendency, a popular tendency to segregate Ruskin Bond as a children's writer. Why?
True, true.
That should not be the approach, because each story has a message. If you take the example of cherry tree, what Bond is trying to say there, that we have to instill the ecological conscience in the kid, in the small boy, and the boy is planting a cherry tree and he is nurturing. So Ruskin Bond should be there in the syllabus. Once Bond is there, other writers are there. When Thoreau is there, so gradually it will gain a momentum. So we have to take the responsibility, and we have to focus it. And that's why I said that why can't you keep a subject called eco ethics, not eco criticism? Eco ethics, why do I say that? Because I have floated the course at NIT Goa, that then only they will have the ethical conscience in them, that not to cut the trees, and what the builders are doing, they are encroaching the habitat, and that's why the animals are seen in the vicinity, especially in Goa and in North Bengal. So I mean, it is like I mean, creating an awareness, generating an awareness among us. So then only it will have a good future. It will have a good future, and let us do more such work in every university, in every colleges across India, to generate awareness.
Uh, the, the,
Anything?
the next
Huh.
question asks, Madam, please suggest some authors whose work are based on ecological issues for research purposes.
Acha, right now I remembered Rabindranath Tagore. Why don't you take up the non-fictions of Tagore? That will give you an idea, and that can be a good research material, non-fictions of Tagore. And then, and that, I mean, right now, I'm sorry, I just can't remember anything. Thoreau is keeping to my mind, coming back to my mind, Thoreau and the Romantic poets. And
Uh,
then transcendentalist thinkers are also there. Whitman is also there.
the
But
other
Tagore
day
will
we
be a good. Uh,
the other day we were discussing about Amitav Ghosh and
Amitav Ghosh, yes, yes, Hungry Tide
Atwood.
can be taken up. Margaret Atwood surfacing will be a good research material because the nameless heroine is identifying her psyche with nature. Thank you, Bhakti. Margaret Atwood
We
surfacing.
had discussed,
Yes,
so I thought I would just come handy
yeah, yeah.
with when.
Sometimes things slip my mind. So no, surfacing will be a good research material because there is not much PhD on surfacing, and it can be related with all the theories, especially deep ecology. I mean, yes. Anything else?
Next is, ma'am, could you please share your deliberations on the emerging era of human-centered Anthropocene? How can we make people aware of the carbon footprints we imprint on our planet?
Yeah. So that is again something, it is a very complex issue, honestly saying. And it requires, a mass revolution, mass awareness so that we can stop the carbon footprint, and we have to think of green technology. And we have to think of aqua farming. Aqua farming is not being used in India. I don't know why, but there are poor countries like Indonesia, Cambodia. They are trying to reduce the carbon footprints, and that's why they are taking other measures which are related to green technology. So that will curb these carbon footprints. And aqua farming, I don't know why it is not have enough water bodies. Hello? Hello? Yes, I mean,
The next thing that is there is, ma'am, ma'am, do you think we need much more media support to reach to the common people because they have no knowledge about destruction of environment?
not really. Along with media support, media will give us popularity, but the industries, because they take 10 to 15, they keep 15 to 20% of money for corporate social responsibility. That CSR fund can be used. That's what we are trying to do it in Goa. We are approaching the industries and we are asking for fund, and media will give us publicity. So you can approach the industries in the city of Ahmedabad and you can say that why can't they use 5% of their CSR fund uh, for saving the planet. So this is one solution that we have taken up. And media will give coverage, media will create awareness, but media will not give us financial support. So CSR fund is an option, corporate social responsibility fund. And what the industries do, they just show it on paper that they have used the fund, but they don't utilize the fund. That is on the paper and that is for the audit.
Yes, very true.
Okay. So,
um,
Bhakti, you can make a team. And you
yeah.
need to have some aggressive voices around you so that they can, they can go to visit the industries and they can convince those industrialists who are into real estate business, who are into increasing their bank balance. So we have to ask, give us 5% or 10% of your fund, CSR fund.
True. Actually, Sir and Pratiksha can do because they are teaching this elective on eco-criticism and practice. So, as a part of practice, they can make these teams of students to visit industries to enforce
Okay.
this idea of yours.
Okay.
Next
So
is,
I see a comment, planting campaigns. Instead of campaign, why can't we start? Because when you campaign, it is, it is on the level of theories, theorizing. So let us put it into practice. Acha, we have eco-critical and environmental studies. Please add one module on eco-ethics, that ethical responsibility towards environment. Then only we will not have this cutting of trees. We will worship nature as mother. So almost 4 minutes left. So what to do? Or if you have more discussion, I'm ready.
There is someone who is curious to know and is requesting you to suggest books on ecology connected with ethnicity and mythology.
That I please share I write my mail ID. That for that I need to have reference. Right now, I just can't remember. I can't recollect. Sarani. Achha, mythology and literature. Why can't you take this epics? In epics, we have references.
Yes.
Any epic, Ramayana can be taken up because that can be taken from the ecological perspective. Then Sri Aurobindo Savitri is there. So these two can be taken up for your research if you want to connect mythology and eco-criticism. Ramayana and Savitri, even maybe Mahabharata also. Okay. Anything, or what should I do? I mean, it was nice presenting before you. Thank you, Bhakti.
I think there are some comments as a
Yes.
response to your comment on the presence of ecological
Acha, let
discussion
me
in the.
check one.
So,
Yes, people coming to the terrace in my campus to watch sunrise and
no,
sun.
they are. I mean, just come down straight away. They are older comments. So,
I
like this
see.
is.
This Agnibho Banerjee, is there any comment? Acha, I'd like to mention the name of Paul Gauguin who reported. Yes, that's true. Then.
I think they are basically comments and feedback. We can send you the chat also if you
Okay.
want to.
No, I would like to have, because I mean, I just flipping over quickly. Huh.
So, I think there is no more questions from the audience. So I would take this opportunity to thank you, madam. You really uh, engaged all of us in a very constructed and pre-planned manner. So you began with the anecdotes, and then you connected it with your practice, and then again with the theory, and then taking this to authors and explaining us to, expanding our horizons of understanding of ecological humanism, especially with reference to these two people, and your discussion on the importance and connection of post-COVID effect and how people are getting back to, the from city to country kind of a movement. So we are really thankful to you on behalf of the Alumni Association of Saurashtra University. I thank you very much, madam, and we really learned a lot. Thank you so much, because the way you actually enthusiastically agreed, and the more enthusiastically you discussed everything, and I see this huge response by the students. So it has been really nice of the students also to come up with such good feedback and be so active. We are really thankful to the students as well. And
I'm
sir,
thankful to you
Ghosal
as well.
sir, and I see so many other professors across country. I thank all of them. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Welcome, Bhakti, and I must thank you for inviting me and giving me this platform, so that I could share my ideas and what are the things I want to do for environment. Thank you. So I sign off then.
I think Professor Mukherjee is
Ma'am,
also
there is a
there.
request of sharing the first slide for some references. I think students or some of the audience want to see that.
Reference part? Okay. Yeah. I think I didn't explain this slide, I guess. This is a difference. These are the differences between Thoreau and Bond. Just have a quick look at it. And then, because one is activist, other one is not an activist. He is quite mellow. Is this the slide? Hello?
Uh,
Hello?
I think so. The one who has asked, let him answer. No, ma'am, the first slide, slide number 1.
Slide number 1.
Yes.
Okay. This was the first slide, that rock python. Then this was the objective of my presentation, objectives. Is
I
it,
think, yes, yes, ma'am.
or maybe he must have left.
No, he's there. Now he's saying slide number
Please.
4. Slide
No,
number 4. Slide number 4. So maybe numbering at your end and the way the student is reading, they are different.
okay.
Background one, ma'am.
I can share the slides, no issues. I
Yeah.
can mail all these slides to Dr. Bhakti and Bhakti will circulate. That can be done, I guess.
We have this, email ID of the students. They have posted their IDs, so we will circulate them if you share
Okay.
the slides.
Yes,
That
yes,
would be
yes.
nice. That would be
That would be
nice.
nice, yeah. So,
So once again, thank you very much, ma'am. And our president Mukherjee sir has also been has joined us. So I see him on the screen somewhere. So
okay. I can see him.
I we can be more we can be happier because we were regretting his absence in the beginning, but he joined midway. So thank you on behalf of him. Also, I'm
Yeah,
thanking you.
I thank you, Ghoshal ma'am. Yes, Bhakti, I think I must thank you. I am the accidental president of this Alumni Association. And today is a very good example that the president actually has to do nothing because the team takes over and the team has done such a wonderful job. Of all the days today, just before 5 o'clock, I had to attend a university meeting. And therefore, I could not be there during the first half an hour of your session. But it would certainly be very, very interesting. On one hand, you are taking an American author, 19th century. On the other hand, here cutting across the continents, you are taking an Indian author who's still alive and he's still contributing. That itself is a wide span that you are covering. Also, we keep on teaching how exactly does our field, the field of literature, really make students aware about ecological issues. Sometimes there are real problems in that, because when, for example, Keats was writing a poem about the nightingale, was the nightingale really there or not? Or is it completely a figment of his imagination? So these are also some of the things that at the ideational level we keep on teaching and bringing students into the awareness and consciousness. your another problem, as you rightly pointed out, whatever I could get, the latter half of your discussion with the participants, is that the problem whenever we speak of ethics is that suddenly the tone becomes very didactic, that we must do this, they must do that, government must do this, so on and so forth. And this kind of it will take little more time with, and your therefore your emphasis on activism is should be very well taken, rather than talking about it in a didactic sense. We all of us, I mean, I think when we talk here in this group, we are talking to people who are not here often. We have come together to listen to you because we do care for nature and ecology, and we are listening to you. 60 plus people, I saw 61 people attending your talk. So often the dialogue is with people who are not in the group, or taking our ideas across. So there is obviously the entire industrial group, the entire group of builders and the infrastructure people who always put their aspects first.
Yes.
These are the things. But I'm sure I would be very keenly watching the YouTube version of your talk. We will be putting it up also. We will inform you.
Oh, thank you, sir.
And yeah, and I once again, I take this opportunity to thank you, ma'am. And we hope that we shall continue this communication and dialogue between you, your institution in Goa, and our Department of English and Comparative Literary Studies at Saurashtra University, Rajkot, and all the others who are there. Bhakti has already asked people to put in their emails. So whatever communication further we take along, we shall be in touch with you. Thank you very much, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. And I just want to conclude by saying one sentence, that you are the driving force behind this, because this is a wonderful forum. All are discussing literature and theory, but nobody is discussing environment. So I'm really thankful for this platform. I'm really thankful and I'm grateful.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay. Thank you. Most welcome. Most welcome. We shall be in touch.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Yes. Okay.
Thank you all. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
So I leave
from this Alumni Association. Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Leave the call. Bye-bye.
Yes.
Thank you, ma'am, for the wonderful talk.